Welcome to Cosmic Diaries. This is Priya Kale, your astrologer. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're looking at the astrology for the week of May 22nd to May 29th. So I've already gone through the astrology for May 22nd in last week's forecast. And if you haven't listened to that, you might want to, because it was a big week and a lot came up. As we enter this week, and earlier today, the sun was sextile Mars, and the sun now is newly in Gemini, and Mars is newly in Leo. So the sun is the light in the sky. It illuminates things, and as it enters Gemini, it's illuminating a new sector of the sky, of the zodiac, and a new sector in your chart. So pay attention to where you have Gemini in your chart now. Over the next 4 weeks, themes of this house will be highlighted. Gemini is the sign that rules duality primarily. It's a sign of communication in all forms: reading, writing, conversations. It's also the sign that represents the mind, and our thoughts and our thought patterns and our communication patterns again. So if we think of the mind, it's rarely in the present. It's usually ahead in the future, or it's stuck in the past. This is an invitation to stay in the present and to move beyond. Gemini season invites us to move beyond duality, to really peer into the heart and the truth of situations and that space in between, and to recognize that life is not black and white. This is also significant now that we're in Gemini season, because Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is newly direct and in its final shadow phase from now until the full moon on the 3rd of June. We're seeing a situation in a new light. So we're recovering territory that we've been in through May and through April. We're now seeing things in a new light, bringing us a deeper understanding of reality, of where things stand. So be patient as you process and digest this information that's surfacing now. We've seen both sides of the story, and now we're learning the truth, and we're getting to the bottom of the truth. And then as the full moon aligns on the 3rd of June, and Mercury will move out of shadow and make a conjunction to Uranus immediately, just after the full moon. So we can expect major breakthroughs and truths coming to light. That's all next week. What's important now is that you recognize that we don't still have the full story. So just don't avoid jumping to conclusions. There's still a lot more to learn here. Where things have felt stuck, or where there's been a communication breakdown, things can start to slowly get back on track, but it's important that we're leading with the heart and not our ego or any sense of defensiveness. Then we can find a real sense of understanding and find common ground, and most importantly, what we most value. So there is no wrong choice, but it's when we compromise our values that we generally regret our choices. So stay true to your values, stay grounded in your values, then trust that the right things will unfold. Which kind of brings us back to today, May 22nd, as I record this. The sun was sextile Mars earlier this morning. We're being moved to action. There's powerful desires and passions arising within us, and we're seeing our choices, and there's a need for total authenticity now, to be really, really honest with ourselves about what makes us happy, who we are, what we want. And Moon currently is in Cancer. We're coming to important realizations about how we feel, and there's a need for alignment in thought, word, and deed. If you say you want something, then do your actions reflect that? And with Mars in Leo, we're shifting a lot of energy, and there's a powerful evolution underway within us. And it's important that you're allowing space for this, because we're growing in awareness of our own desires. We're growing in awareness of our fears even. And there's a need for courage. And this will also call for vulnerability. On the shadow side, be conscious to not let your ego and pride and defenses get in your own way. This is really creative, passionate, loving, playful, fun energy at best. And so if you're enjoying this, really with the moon in Cancer today, dive into this energy, go with the flow. A lot can come out of it. And if you're feeling moved into action, by all means, allow yourself to move with that inspiration. It's just us having the self-awareness of what it is that's moving us. And it's important that we're not letting fear run the show, because we're just coming out of a very powerful Taurus season which there were eclipses. We had the Scorpio full moon in eclipse, and we're now in this Taurus new moon cycle. We're now seeing the truth and the reality of situations and the potential that's within situations and within ourselves even. All this potential, needs to be channeled with awareness, so we're not letting fear paralyze us or hold us back. This is dramatic energy, and it's not for the faint-hearted. And Venus is soon going to enter Leo, and Venus will then station retrograde in Leo later this summer and will be in Leo until October. So in many ways, what's starting to warm up now, maybe even within you, is really going to take on a whole new life as summer progresses. There's gold to be mined here, really. Creatively, personally, emotionally, in our relationships. It's us now moving forward with that sense of renewed optimism and renewed faith in ourselves and in life, and recognizing all that we have to be grateful for. Because on the 23rd of May at 1:12 a.m., so pretty much the aspect is approaching tonight, Mars squares Jupiter, and this is big. Mars is making this T-square with Pluto and Jupiter, and we may feel rather naked and raw and exposed in some ways, but that's okay. Own that vulnerability, embrace where you're at, embrace your present, because with the square to Jupiter, we're making huge discoveries within about our own desires as well as the potential that surrounds us. The changes that you're contemplating now or that are unfolding now will have a real impact on our lives in a very tangible way. So naturally, there will be a sense of, I don't want to say hesitation, but there's a need to pause so we don't bite off more than we can chew. That said, there's no need for fear now. Have faith in your own abilities. Jupiter is the planet of faith. Mars rules the self. Have faith that you have what it takes to rise to this occasion of your life. About finding our inner confidence, having faith in ourselves, but also having humility. Recognize that we're not invincible and we can make mistakes. What matters is that we grow and learn from our mistakes. And even what we think are mistakes, it's just part of this journey of growth and life and living that we do. And even if you can't really see a lot of movement yet, this is a lot of inner growth that's happening, and this is a Taurus new moon cycle, so growth happens slowly and things are moving underground even if we can't really visibly see them yet. And what we're moving to is a whole new level of experience, of expansion, of growth within ourselves and in our relationships and in our life. To be patient with all that's unfolding within you and around you and allow space for this growth. Also, it would help to look at where you have Scorpio in your chart, because that's the sign with the missing planet on this T-square. And Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, so again, comes back to Mars and Leo. So there's a need to evolve and show up authentically as you are today. Then on the 20th, and the moon is still moving through Cancer on the 23rd, so emotionally, there are deep emotions swirling, and this energy really feels very creative to me, and fertile and juicy and loving and passionate and definitely lucrative. So it's just a matter of now us having the awareness to pivot and focus on what brings us joy rather than focus on the past, or if there is any sense of regret, or we're turning a corner now and everything that you want is around that corner, but you've got to turn that corner in that faith in yourself and in life. So then on the 24th and the 25th of May, there are no major aspects taking place, but the moon continues to move. Well, actually on the 24th overnight, the moon will trine Neptune at 5:12 a.m. on the 24th of May, and then it enters Leo at 10:35 a.m. So pay attention to your dreams and the dreams you have as you wake up on the 24th in the morning. There may be deep insights that are coming through. As the moon enters Leo, on the 24th of May. There are no major aspects taking place between planets on this day, but the Leo moon the energy is getting more passionate now, because as soon as the moon enters Leo, it will oppose Pluto, then it will square Jupiter, then it will conjunct Mars, and then it will sextile the sun. So the moon pretty much moves through all these aspects with Pluto, Jupiter, Mars, and the sun that Mars was making over the weekend and on Monday and Tuesday. So it's really, everything that has come through now emotionally, it's coming home to us. Those realizations are really coming into fullness, into our awareness and consciousness. It doesn't need to be spontaneous and for courage, because there could be sudden developments taking place and opportunities arising, which over the past few days, if you've hopefully had a chance to really get aligned with what you want, now is a chance to really seize your moment and reach for what you want. That said, with that moon making all these aspects, this could feel, internally there's a lot of stuff that's firing up within us. A lot of passions, a lot of desires, a lot of maybe even fear, or if there's any fear or anger, move in awareness and self-awareness so you're not acting rashly or impulsively. If your ego's feeling bruised, avoid lashing out or being defensive or projecting this energy, because you would only end up self-sabotaging your own efforts, because things are moving ahead. What's needed is more self-worth and self-esteem and belief in yourself, confidence and vulnerability to show up. With that moon finally making a sextile to the sun this evening on the 24th, there is a chance to really have honest conversations, have a heart-to-heart, or find creative solutions. Relationships are blossoming, and dare I say it, love is in the air. But that will require that courage and vulnerability to be open-hearted and dare to share your feelings and be honest with another about how you feel. Also, this is really creative energy. So any mode of creative expression, these aspects are excellent for. Even in financial negotiations or any negotiations, really. It's about knowing your worth and knowing everything's negotiable. It's a matter of finding common ground with others, which requires being able to listen to what someone else is saying rather than having assumptions about how things are. Then we can be open to making discoveries and learning what there is to know. You can only be yourself, so just showing up authentically as you are today and allowing others the same space to be different is more than half the battle won. And really there need not be any battle, and the only battle we really ever fight is with our own ego. So if we can find a way to drop the ego and just surrender and show up authentically, then we can find that the right things follow. And faced with a choice, choose with your heart rather than your head. And above all, be true to your values. Then on the 25th, early in the morning, the Leo moon will square Mercury and makes no other major aspects during the day. But we are approaching Venus's sextile to Uranus overnight on the 26th. So the aspect is approaching through the day and the energy is peaking. And there are surprising developments unfolding and perhaps surprising emotions that are awakening within us. But first, let's talk about the Leo moon square Mercury. There's really inner realizations that are coming through, and we're coming to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Luckily, the moon makes no other aspects on the 25th. So we have a chance to really just be alone with our thoughts even, and to digest what's coming through, because we are nearing a breakthrough now. And on the 26th arrives overnight, 3:36 a.m., Venus sextiles Uranus. So this is an aspect that's already approaching through the 25th. And Venus sextile Uranus, there are delicious surprises on the way. But we just have to let go of expectations. And, the future, whenever you're listening to this forecast, the future does not exist. And neither does the past. It is our actions in the present that are creating that future. So as you move through this week, leave that space open for those welcome surprises without holding on to expectations of where something will come from. Trust that the universe already knows what you need and want. And as long as you're putting yourself out there and leading with your heart, then the right things will follow. So really, this energy, 25th, 26th, we can expect surprising developments taking place, or maybe you're feeling surprising emotions. And with Venus involved, love, creativity, money, relationships, we're reaching a breakthrough in these areas, or in one or all of these areas. There's a need for innovation, there's a need for detachment, there's a need for being spontaneous and present and staying open-hearted. Then you can be pleasantly surprised with what unfolds, bringing you a breakthrough where you felt stuck, perhaps, for a while, or where things have been stagnant, or where your emotions have been feeling a little raw and tender after the recent eclipses. This can be a very refreshing, liberating aspect. This is a very fertile development, and whatever unfolds, if you dare to follow your heart, it could lead to serendipitous encounters and surprises, bringing you just the breakthrough that you need. And the moon is void all day until 11:04 p.m. Got a full day to just really bask in what has come through, and it's a quiet day, thankfully. The universe is giving us a little bit of a break to really digest and process and savor, and to let what's coming through sink in. Even if you're feeling a little raw, your ego is bruised, or you're still feeling a little exposed from everything that's surfaced, look at all that is blooming and blossoming in your life and turn your focus to that, pour your energy into that. And generally, when the moon is void anyway, nothing much happens. So give yourself some rest. A lot has come through already through this week. So consider this a day off from the universe. We have permission to do nothing. Just be, reflect. Because the moon enters Virgo at 11:04 p.m. on the 26th. And then on the 27th, and the moon will continue to move through Virgo. There are no major planetary aspects taking place. But the moon is moving to the first quarter, which marks a turning point and the halfway point between the new moon in Taurus on the 19th of May and the upcoming full moon on the 3rd of June, which will be in Sagittarius. Also on the 28th, so the 27th is the first quarter moon, and on the 28th the sun squares Saturn, marking a significant turning point. And there's a lot I want to say here. This first quarter phase of the moon is always a turning point, and it's a chance to make adjustments, to look back at how far we've come, and look forward to where we're going, and then to stay in the present in this moment and see what needs to be shifted or corrected so we can make adjustments moving forward. A lot has surfaced over the past week, and Virgo is it's an earth sign, but it's also a very analytical sign. It's a Mercury ruled sign. So we're processing a lot emotionally, mentally, physically, psychologically. Get grounded, deepen your spiritual practice. The moon is making a lot of aspects today, aside from that first quarter square to the sun. So it's a busy day, and we're reflecting on our limits, we're reflecting on our choices, we're reaching a deeper understanding of ourselves and situations. If there's been raw emotions that have surfaced, there's a real chance for healing now with the moon moving through Virgo, as we reach a deeper understanding of ourselves and of the life around us. Once we understand our limits, we can move beyond them, because the moon will then trine Mercury, and there may be honest conversations that are coming through this evening. It is a chance to really have healing conversations, or we may be learning information that then allows us to make informed choices. So just move slowly, and as you process everything that's surfacing today, and as you process everything that's surfaced over the past week, if there's any nervous energy, get grounded, take a walk in nature, make sure you're eating well, drinking enough water, getting enough exercise. Worry is wasted energy. If you're wrestling with a dilemma now, look for constructive solutions. The sun is in Gemini, so it's important that we're focusing not on just being critical or self-critical or berating ourselves or anyone else for the past and past mistakes, but looking at everything as an opportunity for growth, because even what we consider mistakes are not mistakes. They are part of our journey of growth. So what is unfolding now is for your growth, and relationships are blossoming. They are growing. It's important that we're not picking at scabs and, again, being too critical when it comes to your money and finances as well, and all Taurus themes really. Any creative projects or whatever it is you're doing, look at where you're investing your money. Look for solutions. Look for where you're investing your time. Is this the best use of your time? With that said, we live, at least in America, the society is so geared to being productive, and productivity becomes the measure of someone's success sometimes, and that's really not what life is about. It's more about our soul growth. So this is really a chance to look at what's working for you, what isn't working for you, and to focus your energy with that awareness. Allow space for healing, to look for solutions, and to integrate all the understanding that's come through over the past week. Then you can make conscious choices moving ahead, conscious creative choices moving ahead, as you allow your life to blossom and you nurture the seeds that you've planted. Look at where they perhaps need a little more support and structure so they can bear fruit. Especially because on the 27th, not only are we at the first quarter, we're looking back not just on the past week, but we're looking back on the past couple of months since Saturn entered Pisces. Because on the 28th of May, there's a major aspect aligning when the Sun squares Saturn, and we're turning a significant corner. And any heavy lifting you're doing this weekend really is about your inner growth, and these are growing pains. This is the Sun's first square to Saturn since Saturn entered Pisces. We're getting a very direct experience of this energy of Saturn and Pisces now. And what we're learning is lessons of boundaries and our choices. And there's a need to really be honest with yourself, to dig deep for your integrity, and there's a need for maturity now. So Saturday night might feel a little heavy. We're wrestling with important choices, but nothing needs to be difficult now. It's just a matter of being conscious of what you're creating and to consciously move towards happiness and our desires. There's a need to find inner resilience and to see how far you've come over the past few months, and to look at how you've grown and how you can integrate this understanding as you reshape your life moving ahead. Although this is heavy, and whatever you're experiencing now are growing pains and decision that you have to come to within yourself, be humble enough to learn from your own mistakes and to learn from the past, but be willing to leave the past behind now as you step into and embody your experiences and lessons as you turn this corner and move into this next phase of your life. But then as Sunday progresses, this energy starts to lighten and we're moving ahead, and we can start to feel a whole lot better with this weight off of us. If you've been steeling yourself for a difficult conversation, maybe the conversation does not need to be as difficult as you think. It's now getting out of our own way and our own perceptions and letting go of our, maybe lowering the guard a little bit and recognizing you don't need so much armor to have these conversations. Because something is no longer the obstacle that it once was, and the path ahead is clear in a sense. Now it's a matter of us stepping up to the plate and doing what needs to be done. And you have the strength to handle this. It's a very healing day. Take some time to relax, spend time in nature, and generally just get organized for the week ahead, because we're entering a full moon week next week. And although there aren't too many major aspects taking place in the sky, we have a beautiful trine with Venus and Neptune coming up around the time of the full moon, and Mercury will be completing its final shadow phase, bringing a breakthrough, something that we've been trying to really resolve or wrap our heads around since April, really. And we're finally ready to leave the past behind and step into the future. So next week, with not too many aspects happening, what happens this week, it's kind of like we're pushing, getting the ball rolling, and then next week we've got to kind of stay and keep it on track as things come to fullness and just water the seeds that we've been planting. So next week seems a lot easier. This week, not that it's difficult, but it just requires a lot more attention, and we can't take our hands off the wheel because there's twists and turns and a lot of maneuvering that's required. So it just requires a lot more presence and attention from us. So just to recap this week, we started with the sun's sextile to Mars on Monday, moving us into action and bringing insights, and we're getting clear on our desires and what we want. 23rd, Mars squares Jupiter, and there's a need for faith as we turn a corner and evolve as we upgrade. Think of your system upgrading. Life is upgrading, but even your consciousness and mentally, it's like a system upgrade. So when we're driving, think of when you turn a corner, you've got to slow down a little bit because you don't know what's around the bend, or you don't want to miss a turn and then have to go drive too far to come back. So slow, steady, present movement, and have faith in yourself as you turn this corner on the 23rd. Then the 24th, 25th, the moon is moving through Leo, and there are dramatic emotions and developments arising. This energy is extremely creative, in all kinds of creative expression highlighted on these days. But it's also a chance for us to really explore our hearts and the depths of our hearts, and relationships are blossoming. There are opportunities arising, asking us to be present so we can seize them, and which will also require that self-awareness of knowing what we want. So we aren't letting the ego or pride or defenses or fears cast a shadow on all that's hopeful and bright and blossoming now and starting to take seed. And even if on the surface you can't really see too much movement or tangible developments, be patient, because think of a seed that's planted in the ground. It takes a while for it to take seed and to appear over ground, and those first few days of a new seedling, it's in its most delicate state and it requires the most care, and that's where we're at with situations in our life right now. At the time of the new moon, we were planting seeds. Things are slowly moving underground even if we can't see them. What is required is our patience and love and ability to nurture what's precious to us, whether it's in our relationships or a creative project or financially. It's all about our self-worth and us putting our energy and time and love into what matters most to us. So the 24th, 25th, there are passionate emotions arising, and there could be surprising developments coming up, and there's a need to improvise and be creative, because on the 26th, Venus sextiles Uranus, and we're reaching a breakthrough. There's serendipity at work, and there's juicy, surprising developments and encounters. The energy is creative, sensual, and it's really a day to savor life's pleasures and to keep an open heart and to dare to follow your heart, really, without expectations. Then you could be pleasantly surprised. 27th, 28th, we're reaching a turning point. A lot has come through. We're processing a lot. Take care of your health primarily. Look for solutions. Allow for healing. And make adjustments moving ahead, given all you've learned. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Even a small adjustment in perhaps an attitude or a mind shift, or maybe even how you communicate, or how you internalize, or rather your internal dialogue, paying attention to your internal dialogue. Even just little things like that could make a huge difference in your quality of life and how you are able to make choices moving forward. On the 28th, the sun squares Saturn, and this is a moment of growth. It's a learning moment, perhaps a humbling moment as well. Be proud of how far you've come, but also recognize that there's a lot for us to learn and grow. But as we turn that corner on Sunday and Sunday progresses, we have the day to just relax and unwind or then get organized for the week ahead. That's the roundup for the week. As you can see, a lot is shifting, a lot is happening, and we've been through a rather powerful Taurus season. And this week, as Mercury now slowly gains speed and we move through this Taurus new moon cycle and into Gemini season, there's twice as much potential in situations than you first thought, and there's still a lot to hope for in situations. What's going to be needed now is our faith and our ability to stay in the present as we evolve and allow space for others to grow and evolve as well, and for life to grow and evolve around us. Relationships are deepening and opportunities are slowly blossoming, and life is asking us to rise to the occasion and to believe that you're worthy of your desires, and to be grateful for all that our blessings already and all the lessons that we've learned over the recent past and through our lifetime, because it's all led you to this moment where you are today. And if we can just see life as that journey of unfolding and growing, and that's what this Taurus new moon cycle is teaching us. So with that said, I will stop here for now, but I thank you for listening and thank you for being here. And if you would like more in-depth reading, please do email me at priya@cosmicdiaries.com, and I would love to schedule a consultation with you. You can find more information on my website at cosmicdiaries.com. And if you're not signed up for my newsletter, please do sign up at the website. That way you can stay updated and receive all the newsletters and the astrology in your email box as well. With that, I wish you the very best for this week. I hope it's a fun week, and I hope it's a productive week, and I hope it's a loving week, and I'll be back with you next week. This is Priya signing off for now. Namaste.